on a somewhat tepid end to the week, despite what obviously has been an incredibly volatile week when it comes to the equity markets.
Yeah, I feel like we're going out with a whimper, but you're absolutely right. Some big moves in the overall indices as well as some individual names, but it does feel like we're just going into the weekend a little weak, if you will.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of want to see what happens next week with retail earnings. We're going to hear from Walmart, Target, TJX. We got a read on the consumer today with retail sales that was underwhelming. But we'll hear from what these companies are seeing and maybe get a better idea.
It's Target, Tim. No one says Target
I apologize.
anymore. Yes, but it's been a good earnings season. I mean, I am looking forward to next week also, but for now, about 85% of the S&P 500 companies that have reported have beaten profit expectations, and I believe that's the strongest in several years for now.
Yeah, but that kind of creates the fear, right? The idea is, like, have we sort of reached some sort of peak in growth? And I think that's what a lot of people are guarding for. We'll get a little bit of color, obviously, out of those big retailers, and we still get NVIDIA a week after that, and then that'll kind of close things out until, I guess, the next earnings season. Kind of interesting, though, on a day like today, we close out the week. The number one gainer in the S&P 500 is basically a company that does vehicle auctions, and the biggest decliner in the S&P 500 is Broadcom, a chip maker. You put it all together, and it is right across the screen for almost all of the major indices. Teaser here on the day. The S&P 500 down about 0.2% on the day, coming off of that record high. It's still up on the week by about 0.3%. The NASDAQ, similar story for the NASDAQ Composite and the NASDAQ 100, down on the day but up on the week. Dow Industrials down on the day and down on the week. And the Russell 2000, that is actually your bright spot. It is adding about 16 points here on this Friday afternoon, up 0.5 percentage point. And on a weekly basis, it's also your outperformer, up 1.1%.
It's because it knows you like that index. I'm just going to say. Hey, back to the S&P 500. I'm going to go there. 250 names is about higher in the index today. 244 to the downside, 9 unchanged. So almost an even split there.
And if you look at the IMAP, it's looking really even split and not a lot of huge gains there. Maybe the biggest gainer is energy, up by 0.8%, but the rest is flat. Like tech is down by tech is up by 0.03%. Financials.
Wow.
Yeah, but
did you know Tim Stenovec hosted Bloomberg Tech today?
I did see that.
And I live to tell the tale.
I live blogged the whole thing, Tim.
Hey, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Your real-time feedback too was very nice.
I'm sure you
what was the
appreciated
feedback?
it.
Oh, you said I was doing a great job. It was so nice.
Well, until that one little glitch, but
Then he sent another email.
I'm sure you were great, Tim.
Yeah.
I never get emails from you that I'm doing a good job.
You know what?
It's coming.
If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
One day, Carol.
Maybe.
When are you going on vacation?
Keep striving.
In about 59 minutes.
All right, let's go to some of the individual gainers. I'm going to go on over to Reddit. At its high, up more than 16% today, finishing with a gain of 12.5%. Reddit jumping. It is set to join the S&P 500 prior to the opening of trading on August 18th. According to a news release, it's replacing Avalon Bay Communities, which is being acquired by Equity Residential. Stock, though, down more than 20% year to date. 14% of the float is short, and it's off more than 30% from a recent high back in January. But once those index funds start buying, that could be a bit of a boost there for that name. So we'll keep an eye on that. Certainly a boost in today's session. Hey, let's go on over to what is the top performing stock in the S&P 500 this year. And we often talk about it, SanDisk. The stock up at its highs about 9% today, finishing with a 7.4% gain. It's a top gainer in both the NDX and the SPX. JP Morgan initiating coverage. I thought this was kind of interesting. Assigning an overweight rating following the firm's investor day. The analyst there says SanDisk is in many respects uniquely positioned to capture the ongoing structural inflection in NAND demand driven by rapid growth in AI inference. So it was definitely an outperformer. Price target set at $2,250 a share. Stock closing at $16.41 and change. So we're looking at maybe a 47% increase from the last close, excluding today's trade. And then let's go on over to Unusual Machines. Thank you, Tim, for that one. This one up about 24%. It's a drone parts company. It jumped also last night in the post market and trading higher today in reaction to the U.S. government announcing tariffs on drone and related component imports. The Trump administration said it's applying a 100% tariff on imports of unmanned aircraft systems and their components. Now, keep in mind, This company is backed by Donald Trump Jr. Stock is up about 160% year to date. 23% of the float is short, but it definitely got some love on Wall Street in the Friday trade. And that's a look at gainers.
Okay, that's what got love on Wall Street. What didn't get love on Wall Street, that's my job, and that's where we start. Oracle, one of the worst performers in the S&P 500 today, actually fell by as much as 4.8%, but it closed down by 3.8%. This after a report came out that a new New Mexico natural gas pipeline project that would supply power gen systems for a planned Oracle data center has been delayed by nearly 6 months. We should note that Oracle out later telling Reuters that its data center project in New Mexico, dubbed Jupiter, remains on schedule and that it continues to work with its partners to move the project forward. Still, nonetheless, we did see shares of Oracle fall by 3.8% today. Also, a check of how Applied Materials did in today's session after reporting yesterday. Down 5%. It was lower throughout the entire day. This after the semiconductor capital equipment maker estimate topping forecasts met with tepid investor reaction. It follows that frenetic rally this year. Remember, shares were up more than 100% going into yesterday's print. Analysts were positive, though, in general about the company's results and forecasts. They're optimistic about the AI-driven demand boosting results. The big question, I think, is as a bellwether, what it means for the entire industry, not just for the remainder of this year, but over the next couple of years. You know, we don't really have an answer to that yet. And finally, QXO shares fell by 2.6% today. The company reported residential and non-residential roofing revenues that missed the average analyst estimate. Brad Jacobs, I know it's somebody that Carol and I have spoken to. Romaine, you've spoken to him in the past. Chairman and CEO of QXO. Nice. He said our second quarter results reflect current market conditions and the progress that we are making across the company.
All right, let's take a quick look at yields here because we did see a little bit of a movement today to the upside, and it kind of belies kind of what we've been seeing earlier in the week where, remember, we had 3 straight days, particularly with those 2-year yields falling slightly up higher by about 2 basis points. But really, it's going to be that 30-year yield, the longer end of the curve, that's shaping up to be the real story here in 2026. Those yields now at 5.2530, up 4 basis points from where they were yesterday.
All right, good stuff. And that is a wrap